And welcome, everybody. This is a TriCast special edition. James Out West, JOW episode number 3.5. We got the No Hype Zone going on, episode 36. And then we've got something new called Baseball is Life. And today we are joined by a very special guest. Nothing short of a legend. Casey Chavez is here with us, along with Patrick, King of San Diego.
There you go.
How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, boss. Pretty good. I'm glad Casey's here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I don't know that I've ever been accused of being a legend before, so.
There's a lot of accusations going around here today, but they're all good. They're all good.
Can you tell my wife?
Sure.
Yeah, let's
sure.
tell my wife.
100%. 100%. Mrs. Chavez, you have to understand, this man is a legend.
There we go.
We'll cut it. I'll send it to you. You can just play it for her when she says something.
I expect music, carpet rolling out, everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like an Old Spice commercial.
Perfect. There it is. I want the body to go with it, though. I don't have it. So.
And yet, amazing career. Got to do a lot of cool things, be a part of a lot of stuff that's very special, and that's why we're here. So let's start with that. Why don't you take us through kind of your journey going from playing college baseball to coaching to where you ended up?
Yeah, I had the same dream that I believe everybody that picks up a baseball and falls in love with it has, which is I'm going to be in the big league someday. And since I was 5, that was my dream. I had a brother who just could do anything naturally. Walk up, hit the ball 500 feet, get no sleep, and just go out there and perform on the mound, first-round draft pick. I was one of those guys. I had to put in about 500 hacks just to get one hit. And I knew what I needed to do, and I could compete and always get to the higher level. But I wasn't willing to pay the sacrifices to do it, so to speak. So I was occasionally good.
Very well said.
As a result of that, when teams were looking at me out of high school, I was better in travel ball against better competition than I was during the regular season, during high school competition because of girls and skipping class and so on. And so I just kind of rode some coattails. I rode my brother's coattails, broke a lot of records in San Diego, CIF San Diego. He's just all over the record book. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to be liked. And so I was a fun teammate, but I wanted to win, but I just didn't have the hardware to win. So I ended up going to a junior college where Pat and I just, realized we were at the same school.
No way.
He reminded me how I missed a bus ride, but he missed the
bus
ride
rides.
too.
Yeah,
so.
we missed bus rides on back-to-back days.
So
he got the lucky end of it. His bus broke down, so he didn't miss the game.
Yeah, somebody texted me and said,
I didn't wake up till the next day.
We see where they were at. Yeah.
We'll leave that alone. But somebody sent me a text. I hustled over there. And funny thing is, when I started my career at Palomar, I broke my wrist. I broke my hand in the weight room, actually. You could literally follow the blood trail from the weight room to the training room. Smashed my finger in between a couple of barbells and went to San Diego Mesa College. Okay. Had a occasionally good, mediocre career there because I was the guy leading the charge away from the field, so to speak. And we had a good time doing it. But from there, I kind of took a couple of years off. I coached a year of high school baseball. I ended up at Culver Stockton College to finish up NAIA career.
Nice.
And started coaching right away. And I got a call one day from my brother, Eric, who by this time had been in the big leagues for almost a dozen years, or maybe 10 or so years, and said, hey, I heard you're coaching. How's your BP? I said, it's money. He said, well, we need your help. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, we need you to come out here and throw BP. We got a bunch of older coaches that aren't throwing good BP. They're literally hitting big league hitters.
No.
They're not even throwing the ball in the turtle. So I flew out within 3 days. I've still never been back to that small town to this day. And that's when my big league life and my big league journey began for about a decade.
That's amazing.
Yeah, crazy. It is a crazy story.
And so you went from going there, throwing some BP, to then them offering you a position as, now is it like, here's a contract as a bullpen catcher, or is it you're more like jack of all trades? How does that work? You consultant? What is it that goes into them?
Man, you can't script it. I can't tell you how many people I've had ask me, hey, I want to do what you do. And how do you do what you do? And I'm like, you don't. Like, it just happened. Life just happened. And so for me, my brother, I was the last guy that they tried out. And it was, the spring training was already over. It was the regular season. They were doing a preseason against the Giants in Oakland. And literally they had gone to every guy in the clubhouse and said, put an APB out for everybody we're getting desperate. And I was the last guy on the list because my brother's like that. He's like, he has this theory of it'll all work itself out. Sure. And so for the fact that he even called me was a big deal because I know that's not him.
Right.
And so they called me up. The guys liked it. Guys like Kurt Suzuki ran up to me and goes, bro, that's big league beef. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. And so I just kept doing it and kept having fun with it. I knew every ball that I threw, that if it didn't leave my fingers right, could impact my future. I tried to relax and pray through every single throw, and that turned into almost a 10-year career. How I ended up catching was another story, man. I didn't have a uniform. I wasn't uniform personnel. I couldn't be out on the field during the games for about 2 weeks. And Kurt Young, good friend of mine, comes in one day, and I'm working out, and before the game, and he goes, shocker, I actually started working out in the big leagues. But Kurt comes up to me, and he goes, hey, Case, you ever caught? And I'm like, yeah, I used to, but I hated it. He goes, you want to catch, Case? I'm like, dude, Kurt, if I got to stay, I would do whatever you want me to do. They threw me some gear. I caught a bullpen from Joe Blanton, and the first time he threw me a curveball, I completely missed it. It never got to me. I'd never seen anything wicked.
That guy is just
good curveball.
Money.
And then from there, Joe ran up to me. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. You know, because you figure
you missed the
if
ball,
you're
go home.
not on point, like you're going home, right? Like you can't make mistakes, which is a big fallacy. That's not in reality for somebody. It might be true, but not for everybody. You have to take advantage and be ready for every opportunity. But most of the time, let's just be honest, it's not make it or break it.
Sure.
And so I was expecting the tap on the shoulder. I was expecting, hey, thanks, kid, see you later. But it was more like Joe Blanton came up to me and was like, hey, dude, you weren't bad. I'm like,
Man.
dude, I missed the ball. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, when's the last time you caught? I'm like, 5-6 years ago, and it wasn't big league pitching.
Big league pitching.
Big league pitching.
That's
and
impressive.
Then, so I learned on the fly.
Wow. And then so with that, did you have to travel? Were you a part of all 162? Was it just at home?
Oh, man. So they took off. They went to East Coast road trip. I got a satellite to watch the boys because now I was, it went from a them to a us kind of feeling. And I'm like, I got to watch every game. And I was living and dying every minute going, man, I want to be there. By the time they came back from the first road trip, we drew up a contract, got a uniform personnel. I was on the field, I remember, against Tampa Bay.
Wow.
It's funny, the A's are playing
Big
Tampa
time.
Bay. And Elijah Dukes was scary. Just looking at him, he was just one of those dudes, like, he was just scary looking. And I was scared of him just looking at him because you're scared of everything when you're on the field for the first time. You can't feel your legs. You're just nervous. Your heart's beating fast. Even though nobody's there for you, dude. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Not one bit. You're
Not
invisible.
one bit. You just, I was told, keep your mouth shut. You're to be seen and not heard.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Good description.
Sure.
Which is perfect. I'm like, I can do that. Whatever you want me to do. And that was that. And then I started traveling. And that was the beginning of a 9-year career that I walked away from when I felt like the time was right. So.
Attaboy.
Wow. Now, did that help you and your brother as far as, like, because you were traveling a lot together?
What a question, dude. I wish he was here to answer that. Which I just to, I got to get on him a little bit. I gave him grief about not being here. So he's in Vegas right now. Probably hoping to get a manager call for an interview.
Well, good luck for that.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Right?
That'd
That's
be
what I want, too.
amazing.
I think
Heck
it'll
yeah.
be a great one. So get with it. Farhan Zaidi, San Fran, get with it. Some of these other teams get with it.
Yes, sir.
It's not always about experience. You got to get experience somehow. But anyway, side note. But the funny thing is, I thought for sure in the bullpen in Oakland, you're right behind third base. And my brother was making legendary plays in Oakland that, to be honest with you, Billy Bean and I had a conversation about that this spring training, which was, who's better, Chapman or your brother? And in terms of those plays on those pop flies, those backhands towards
You
the
can't
hole,
beat that.
man, I got to be honest with you. I'd never seen anybody do it like Eric did it, and I'm expecting to watch Eric come and make those highlight reel catches, diving into the dugout, spilling himself over the mound in Oakland like a lot of guys do, but actually catching the ball. And it lasted about a month and a half. And that's when his injuries began to set in. And the surgeries started, and his career kind of became derailed a little bit from his health because he was a 6-time Gold Glover up to that point. He was a Silver Slug Award winner. He got dubbed on a couple All-Star games. They left him off.
That's what we were talking about.
But that was when the rule was one player per team. So that got him. And but he was the second half guy too, mind you. He was the second half guy. But we never really got to enjoy that. That he was never healthy the whole time I was there. My first year in the big leagues, I had to do most of it without him. And I had to figure out all that stuff on my own.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was kind of surreal. It was kind of bittersweet. Bittersweet.
I don't even know where to go with that because that's amazing. Like you had that
That's
moment where, hey, we're going to be able to be brothers on a major league team, and I'm going to be able, you are going to be able to impact them in ways, like you said, from a leadership standpoint, keeping the guys loose, doing what was needed, whether it was rubbing mud on balls or, taking care of
That's
whatever
an art,
needed to be.
That's an art. I have to tell you, that is an art. But it's funny you say that, like, you got that feeling like, hey, bro, like, you're here, I'm here. Like, yeah, like the first time when he got drafted, he was working out. McGuire was there. Giambi was skinny back then. And McGuire's arms were bigger than my whole body is wide. And that's his form. And I remember just being like in shock. And my brother goes, hey, they want to know if you want to come down on the field, watch BP. I'm like, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I ran through the clubhouse doors in Oakland, which I've run through many times now. I flung them open, and they just stopped. And McGuire came out, just like a mountain walking across me, holding his nose. I swear to you, I broke Mark McGuire's nose.
Oh,
I was a sophomore in high school. My brother had just gotten drafted, and I'm like, I just broke Mark McGuire's nose. But long story short, now here I am with him in a uniform. I'm traveling with him. We're doing the same thing. We're living and dying, same squad. The first day they let me go down on the field, I run down the steps at Oakland, which there's like a million of them. It's like the longest mile ever. And I see number 3, Chavez, sitting there before the game. It's the first game that I'm on the field and he's on the field. And I'm like, hey, bro. I'm like, here I am, all happy, like a little kid. And I run up to him, and I get to the side of him, and he's got his hands on his knees. And I looked at him, and I equated to this, like trying to take a piece of meat out of a lion's mouth when it just caught something. And I went, whoa, and I backed up. And I did not realize until that very moment about locking it in, about the amount of pressure and just how to lock all that in and focus. It freaked me out. All the days I've ever seen my brother play, compete, do whatever, and he was the kind of guy, if I beat him in a game, he'd have to beat me 30 times in double dribble just to prove a point, or he'd hit the reset button because he doesn't know how to lose.
Sure.
So that was new to me, and I was like, who is this guy? Just another level, dude. Just another level.
Yeah, you lock it in, like you said. Baseball is life. When you figure out that you live and die based on how well you're going to play that day, not the day before, not next week, not what you're supposed to be, but literally that day on that play, you drop the ball. Your life's over in your head, and you have to pick it up and put it right back together again. So I think you learned a lot from that, not even being on the field before you even got to that show. And you learned, hey, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get this going. You know what I mean? That's right where I got out of the game in junior college. The pressure just got to me. It was too much. It was, hey, this is now work. This is a job you're going to do, and I wasn't getting paid yet. So to me, that didn't make sense. Hey, you hurt your arm. You need to go to the doctor, pay tons of money, get this fixed so you can be back on the field. And I'm like, okay, well, this is cool if this is going somewhere, but nobody cares about you. You're invisible.
That's the thing, dude. Nobody cares about the game. The game doesn't stop for anybody.
Correct. It's going to keep rolling.
I watched Giambi retire. Jason, we retired Jason in Oakland. There you go. I watched Nomar Garcia-Parra retire. Me and Nomi hit it off. I used to say Nomi's my homie. I watched Orlando Cabrera retire. I watched Frank Thomas retire.
Yes, sir.
And I'm in the back of the plane, and Frank had just hit his 500 homer, and nobody's talking to him. And Frank and my brother were good friends, but Eric wasn't around. And I think he was with another team at that time. And I'm good in the back. Frank just hit a 500 homer, and he's lonely by himself in the back because nobody will talk to him because he's Frank Thomas. And he looks over at me and goes, Chavez, come here, man, come here. I'm like, hey, Frank. He goes, why don't you talk to me no more, man? Why don't you talk to me? You don't like me? I'm like, Frank, like, you're Frank, dude. No, I'm just like everybody else. I'm like everybody else. I'm like, no, you're not. You 6'6", 6'7", 400, 800 pounds, 500 homers. Like, you're Frank. Yeah. No, I'm just Frank. Sure. No, forget that. But what I learned from that is that the game doesn't stop for anybody. And when I say I walked away after my 9th year, I started to ask this question. I went, man, if the A's didn't slow down for Giambi, if the game didn't stop for Frank, very few guys like Jeter get the whole,
tour.
The whole tour. Like,
sure.
See you later.
Yeah.
And side note on Jeter, Jeter's the only person in my life that when he was in Oakland for the last game in Oakland, he's the only person I felt impressed upon to take my cap off my head and tipped my cap to him, and he was running out to center field to hit. He's the only person I've been around that earned that kind of respect.
Heck yeah.
Just for doing it the way he did it. I know a little bit about what Eric would say about Jeter playing with him too, but I just felt that way.
Sure.
And so, but what I'm trying to say to your point is that the game doesn't slow down for anybody. And what other profession do you have people that are always watching and evaluating, telling you what you can and cannot do, what you should and should not do? I always say, imagine a person who works in an office, Tom, and somebody shows up and Tom's got his cup of coffee and he spills his cup of coffee on his keyboard. It's like, oh, look at Tom right there. Oh, Tom just spilled his keyboard. He made an error at the wrong time. Tom, if you expect to be in this league very long, you can't do that again, Tom. You better get with it.
Yes, sir.
Like sports, professional sports and baseball is one of the few things where they're always on display. It's like animals at the zoo.
Is that how players feel?
Animals at the zoo?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask them individually. Everybody's different. If you ask Johnny Gomes has a robe, whatever team he's on. He's got his name on his back. He's got his number on his back on his robe, and his hair's profesh. And he spends about 2 hours in front of the mirror before the game. I remember one time a young guy came in, and Johnny was in there getting ready. And they asked him, first of all, Johnny's one of those guys you don't want to pop his bubble because Johnny's just kind of scary too, but in a good way. Like he's edgy in a good way. You're like, yeah, let's go. And so Johnny's getting ready in front of the mirror in Oakland for a 7 o'clock game, 7:05. And a guy comes in and asks him, Johnny, why you spend so much time in the mirror? He goes, are you kidding me? You know how many teams there are in the big leagues, bro? What is it, 32? I don't even know.
Something like that.
32 or whatever. He goes, there's 32 teams in the show, bro. He goes, how many players there are? He had it down to the number of guys on each roster because it's 25 times whatever. I don't do the math. He goes, and you're one of them tonight. He goes, I'm about to be in front of 40+ thousand people. And how many networks right now? This is the show, dude.
There you
Are
go.
you serious?
Wow. The show.
And so if you ask Johnny,
Sure.
Johnny's good with it.
Yeah.
There's guys that when the lights come on, they're like, let's go. I was built for this. My daughter's that way.
Sure.
But then there's other people that, when you fail in front of people, you're less than a grain of salt. It's like you want to dig a hole in the middle of the field, bury yourself in it, and disappear.
There you go.
And so
Jeter said it well. He said it's as hard as it is to get to the big leagues, the hardest thing is staying in the big leagues because there's always somebody there to take your job. You get hurt, you miss a day, something happens in real life. It doesn't matter. There's an organization, just like you said. They're not going to slow down. They got somebody to take your place if you need it.
So to piggyback that, and you guys let me know if I'm talking too much.
No, you're
I can
good.
Talk.
You're good.
Loving it, man. Loving it.
Mike Gallego was our infield coach, and Mike had finally made I think an all-star team or signed a free agent contract with New York, and he's in spring training, and he has this old infield coach that he used to have history with that they were a little bit of sour wine there. Well, he's hitting Gags. Now Gags is a guy because, when you're not the guy, you're not the guy. Mm-hmm. And now Gags is the guy. He's a starter. New York brought him on a free agent contract. I think he was playing with Mattingly and a couple other guys. And the coach is hitting him some ground balls. And the same coach, when he was in Oakland, when he wasn't a guy, he was just trying to make a club. He was taking ground balls with the everyday starting shortstop for the A's at the time. And the coach stopped, waved him over in spring training, and aired him out and said, how much are you making this year? Where are you going to be playing? Because that guy's making $3 million, and right now you're making him look bad. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't hit him another ball. Same coach now, speed up, same coach now in New York, and now Gags is the guy. So now Gags is getting the ball. But there's another shortstop there that's making Gags look bad. Mm-hmm. And so the guy goes to throw the ball in the air, hit him in the fungo, and he stops mid-fungo. The ball drops to the ground. He waves the young guy over, and Gags starts yelling at him because Gags can yell when you get to know Gags. Gags, a couple explicitives. Hit him the ball. Forget that. Hit him the ball. Hit him the ball. It was a young shortstop named Derek Jeter.
That's pretty impressive. Yes,
and
sir.
So, you just never know.
Next guy up.
You just never know.
That's the way it works. Love it.
Now, within that 9 years, what was the precipice as far as success for you guys that you personally felt?
Easy. 2012, we trailed the Rangers. First of all, we weren't supposed to do anything in 12. In 11, Bob Guerin had been fired. I woke up. I turned the TV on, found out via TV that we had a new manager named Bob Melvin. Melvin came in and immediately just knew what he was doing, man. He just knew what he was doing. He was like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be a good teammate. You're going to play hard, and you're only ever going to think about winning today. So we actually had this phrase, win today, that we took it to heart. We used to write on the board.
That's awesome.
We used to say it to each other. I asked him one time, we had a tough loss in Detroit, and then we had a day game. I don't know why we had a day game after a 4-game series in Detroit, but we had a day game in Oakland. I don't know, put that schedule together. But I come into the field. I'm still feeling it, dude. I'm still feeling it. Like, we were about to sweep them, but Balfour gave up a grand slam to walk us off. Ooh. So we won 3 out of 4. We should have swept them, and they beat us in the playoffs the year before. And I'm feeling it, dude. And I walk in, I see Bob, and Bob's like, hey, Case. I'm like, Skip, you all right? Like, you didn't feel that loss? And he goes, what loss? And I'm like, oh, he means this stuff.
Oh, yeah, like win today. Like yesterday doesn't matter.
It's over. Like, that never even happened.
Hard to do in real life, but that's reality of it. And you can't hang up on that old stuff.
You can't get in a clubhouse in front of big league players or professional athletes and say something and not mean it. You know, it's like trying to lie to a teenager. They're not going to have it.
Yes, sir.
And so where I forget what the original premise of how we ended up here was, but the point is, the pinnacle, which was 12. Nobody expected us to do anything. We had a lot of surprises. Man, I got stories, dude. I could tell you about the 5th catcher that you've never heard of. And the reason you've never heard of him is because he's not a catcher today, but I guarantee you've heard of him. A guy named Josh Donaldson, who's an MVP.
Yeah.
I could tell you about that whole story about how Scott Sizemore blew his knee out first day of ground balls, came in on a bunt play, put on 20 pounds because he was going to be the everyday guy and he wanted to hit 25 homers, popped his knee, and we had nobody on the depth chart. And next thing you know, one of the minor league coaches speaks up and says, I've seen Josh in Double-A, and we stuck him at third, and he's not bad. And they go, not bad like he looks like a catcher playing third. And they go, no, not bad like he looks like a third baseman. And Josh is, as we now know.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So Gags and some of our minor league coaches every day after spring training about noon, they take him to the backfield and hit him ground balls. And, Josh struggled, got sent down, came back up, did well the second time through. He had guys like Johnny to keep him level-headed, to keep him going. Coco was amazing for us, Coco Crisp.
Coco Pelly Crisp. He's one of my boys.
Coco was amazing, dude. How Coco just come into a clubhouse, maybe get there at 4, which, most guys get there at 1. Didn't even look like he'd ever stretched, never lifted a weight, and could go out there and get 4 hits and make 3 diving plays. Guys can't do that.
Amazing.
Coco can do that. Guys can't do that. And Brandon Moss was a big surprise that year, hit 30-plus homers. We had a guy, we started out the year with like Keela Kaihui. So long story short, nobody expected us to do jack. And we weren't in first place for a day. So the last series of the year, we have Texas coming into town for 4. We're down 3. We won game 1, and the Coliseum is losing its mind. We win game 2. Here we come. We win game 3. We clinch a spot in the wild card, and we clinch a playoff position. And then a day game 4, it's kind of a famous moment where Hamilton loses the ball in the sun.
Yes, sir.
And it kind of broke it out for us. And we swept them on the final day of the year to be in first place for one day of the year and to steal the division from them.
Most important
that's the day that mattered, yeah. It was the last day of the season.
Mattered. Yep. It only counts when it counts. So,
that's awesome.
That was by far. I remember holding my daughter, telling her, baby, I'm going to get you a house. And we got her house now. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What really made you decide after 9 years it was time to be done?
Man, in baseball, I did whatever I wanted to. I was like a dog off a leash. When you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do. When you're running in the big leagues and you're running around, you run around with the big leaguers. When they drop an envelope on your lap on a first-class plane, I once surfed in Chicago, landing on a plane, meaning I was in the middle of the aisle going 500-plus miles an hour when the plane when the wheels hit the tarmac. Yeah, stupid, right? I got reprimanded by that for a little bit. But I did it all, man. I partied. I chased women. I lived the big league lifestyle. Me and Nick Swisher watched the sun come up in New York for a 3-game series, 2 days in a row with no sleep.
I almost hung my Nick Swisher Indians jersey that I have. Seriously, and I was like, is that going to...
Oh, you should have done that.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Oh, bro,
oh yeah, dude.
Jersey,
OH, I love that jersey. Sorry.
Awesome.
But literally, he was batting cleanup for us, and I'm asleep in the bullpen, because we saw the sun come up. So I did it all, dude. I say I was like a dog off a leash. Whatever bush I wanted to do my business on, I did it. Whatever I wanted to do, I did it. And it was all empty for me. Brother got hurt right away. I'm like, what the heck? You know, and chasing things, caught them. What the heck? They like disappeared in front of me like a ghost. And I remember feeling upset. Like, I'm in the big leagues, but I'm not happy. Like, this is stupid. You know, and because I remember my first month sitting in the outfield during BP with some guys listening to some songs that were popular at the time during BP and just feeling like, dude, this is it. Like, life can't get any better than this.
Yeah.
I'm like, pinch me, dude, in my hair, pinch me. But that lasted about a year and a half, and it was all just empty. And then very quickly, the bus rides, the plane rides, the knowing, you know, picking up a calendar and looking at where I'm going to be on September 2nd and being able to predict exactly where I would be, no matter what city it was in, begin to feel like a prison a little bit. Wow. And so I lost my joy for it, dude. And long story short, I found the Lord in 2009. I bent both my knees to him. And I said, look, I'm pissed because life is not what I thought it would be. And I only have one dream, and I'm living it. And I always tell guys, you know, when you walk into the clubhouse, you hear a lot of cliche things like, how you doing today? I'm living the dream, Chavi. I'm like, dude, I saw you last night. Come on. Like, you know, guys don't say hi to each other. It's like, so you get the, you know, generic answer, which I wouldn't put up with. But I'd always say, well, make sure that dream doesn't turn into a nightmare. Because for me, it felt that way a little bit. It just felt empty. And I had this call to ministry on my life. And just started reading the Bible, started reading about Jesus, started sharing that with guys, started leading Bible studies in the clubhouse. And I remember like one time there was about 10, 15 guys that show up. We had a rain delay, and a bunch of guys grabbed me and said, you want to do a Bible study? I'm like, let's go.
That's awesome.
And so I'm actually a Major League chaplain now for the Giants if they invite me back.
That's fantastic.
Maybe that depends on if my brother's the manager or not. I don't know. But
knock on wood for that.
Or San Diego, just saying, just throwing it out there.
Or San Diego, yeah, dude, that's the dream job.
Right?
There's
right
two
next
dream
to
jobs.
home, man.
There's two dream jobs for a San Diegan in baseball. One is to work for the Padres, and two is to work for the Diamondbacks because you're home all year.
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
There you go.
But yeah, I walked into Bob Melvin's office. We were actually in LA playing the Dodgers, and it was 15. And we still had a couple months left in the season. And I told him, Skip, that's it, end of the year. He's like, you sure? I'm like, I'm sure. He goes, why? I'm like, I gotta go. I got this calling for ministry on my life. And so he pulled me in the last week of the year in 15. And he goes, I'm about to start making some calls. Are you sure? And I'm like, I'm positive. And that's how it all started.
And so now that emptiness went away. When you said that, did it feel like that was gone, that lifted?
The emptiness went away gradually. Like, I was in my apartment in 2009, and, you know, I was living in the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, living fast, living hard. Like, I remember we were in Toronto, and the veterans called me up to get Cahill, and I don't mean to drop your name, Trevor, but deal with it, and some other younger guys to come out in Toronto, and I was literally that guy. Like, I was bartending on flights. I was wearing the stewardess's apron.
Oh, my goodness.
They would literally, their hands would just come into the back of the plane. I wouldn't even see who it was, and they go, make me a drink. And I go, what'd you have? And they go, I don't know, it had like this.